observed. It doesn't pertain to every piece of evidence that comes.
Can I just give a recommendation to you?
Yeah, I'm getting nervous here because it's on national television. Kill me. What are you going to say to me that's personal?
Don't go to church at 5 o'clock.
Oh, God.
For the last 4 days, news breaks and they need you. You can't be caught in a church. You have to be you have to be TV ready.
I was at Mass last night when Kim Rosenberg, that's Shepard Smith's executive producer, found me, and we did a level 2, meaning all the Fox 5s in the country, and I was in the vestibule of the church.
No more church.
On my iPhone.
Hold on a minute. You had your phone turned on in church?
Oh,
that's the first thing they tell you. That's the first thing they tell you. Turn off your phone.
It's I saw Rosenberg's name. I know I had to answer.
2 Hail Marys. By the power vested in me, you're forgiven.
Thank you.
Go in peace.
Thank you, Monsignor.
Justice of the peace?
I'm not sure what I did. I think I'm in Waters' world. I'm not really sure.
Judge, next time you go to church, which is probably today, please pray for him because he just told you not to go.
Hey, Jillian.
Love you guys. Thank you,
Judge.
Do you see what you're getting yourself involved in,
You're just
Jillian?
going to let him call you out like that and not respond?
He's bigger. He's a bigger man than me.
All right. Good morning to you guys. Let's get you caught up on what you need to know. Protests breaking out overnight in Tulsa after a jury finds a police officer not guilty in the shooting death of an unarmed black man. Officer Betty Shelby says she was afraid for her life when she shot Terrence Crutcher. He refused to follow her orders as she walked towards his car, which was left running and abandoned in the middle of the street. Shelby thought he was reaching for a gun. No gun was found, but an autopsy found PCP in his system at the time of the shooting. Crutcher's family says the verdict is hard to accept. The DOJ will open a civil rights investigation into the case. President Trump considering 4 candidates to replace James Comey as FBI director after a series of interviews at the White House. Among the top candidates, former Democratic Senator Joe Lieberman, the party's nominee for vice president in the 2000 election. He is now an independent. Also in the mix right now, acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe, former Oklahoma Governor Frank Keating, and former FBI Executive Assistant Director Richard McFeely. The president could make his choice by the end of the week. And breaking overnight, rocker Chris Cornell has died. Lead singer of Soundgarden and Audio Slave passing suddenly and unexpectedly hours after playing a concert in Detroit. The cause of death not yet known, but he's been open about his struggle with drug and alcohol addiction in the past. Cornell was just 52 years old. He leaves behind a wife and 3 kids. It's always heartbreaking when you see someone die far too young.
Yeah. All right. It's a sad story. Thank you.
Thanks, Jillian.
All right, 13 minutes down after the hour. Coming up, the leader of a terrorist group connected to dozens of murders, now a free man, and he's going home to a parade?
And the stock market dips, and the media blames President Trump. Is that true? Stuart Varney on that. Next. Come on in, Stuart.
He's always walking.
Well, the Dow dove, as you can see right there, closing at nearly 373 points lower, about close to a 2% decline, making this the biggest drop in the Dow since September.
And the media now taking aim, of course, blaming none other than President Trump. But is that really fair?
Yeah, here to break it down for us is Varney and Company's own Stuart Varney from the Fox Business Network. Stuart, what caused this?
The bottom line is that investors are increasingly anxious, increasingly worried that they will not get any of the Trump growth agenda, the Trump growth plan this year. That is a legitimate concern. The market went straight up after the election because we were expecting tax cuts, less red tape, infrastructure plan. We haven't got any of it in 6 months into the presidency. And these investigations and the political turmoil simply make things worse.
Why the concern now?
Look, we've had an extraordinary 10 days, have we not? With scandal after scandal and the appointment of a special counsel now to investigate any Russian connection. That is political turmoil. That's going to hang over any legislation that reforms the tax code, that repeals and gets rid of Obamacare. This is hanging over everything. So it makes it less likely, I think frankly almost impossible, that you will get tax reform done this year. And if it's delayed until next year...
Paul Ryan said just the opposite yesterday. He says, we're still moving along. And then he goes, that's a big misperception.
Well, the assumption is that you can chew gum and walk at the same time. Right. Whether you can actually do that or not, I don't know. But look, what I say, all these scandals, this turmoil, gives the Democrats a perfect opportunity to stall everything that President Trump proposes. Yeah. They can stall it. That's what Wall Street's worried about. Sure. That you won't get it done this year.
But, you know, you know, a lot of people have said, look, Congress wasn't on board with the Trump agenda anyway before all this hit the fan. But the market sold off yesterday on the news of the Comey thing, not on the news that there was a new special counsel. See, true. I think what this is going to do is this going to let the White House and also the Hill get some traction on some other things, because essentially it's saying, okay, let's move this trouble over here. Now let's focus on what the people want us to do.
The assumption is that the Democrats will let them move this trouble over here and get on with the Trump.
This is what the Democrats have been calling for. So they got what they wished for.
Let me tell you what the market judgment is this morning, not yesterday. This morning. We're going to open up with another 100-point loss for the Dow Industrials in about, 2 hours' time. We're going down again this morning. That means the market does not believe that you can shift this trouble to the side and we'll just get on with the Trump agenda. The market is sending a message. Get your act together, or we can't do anything. Wall Street will decline. Even the Republicans are saying the same thing. Get your act together, or we can't pass anything in Congress.
The only thing that can keep politics out of this is that the American people lose money. So the 401ks are taking a hit. That would sober people up.
Yes. This over-the-top media response to this latest investigation, that is hurting you and every one of our viewers, hurting their money.
Watch Varney and Company, 9 to noon on Fox Business Now.
Yes, please.
Thanks, Stuart.
Thank you, everyone.
Mainstream media cannot stop hoping for impeachment. Our next guest says it is all hogwash. Lawrence Jones, next. There he is. We have some quick headlines for you about 2 convicted felons that are pardoned or were pardoned by President Obama. First, the leader of a terror group responsible for killing Americans will be celebrated in Chicago today. Oscar Lopez Rivera, just released from prison, was the top boss of FALN, which carried out over 100 bombings across the U.S., including the 1975 explosion in New York City, killing 4 and injuring more than 60. He'll also be honored in a parade in New York next month. And another person fresh out of prison, Chelsea Manning, now tweeting as a free woman 28 years early. Hours after her release, she posted first steps of freedom. Look at that picture, with a picture of her feet wearing Converse sneakers. And yes, she got her hot, greasy pizza and a picture to prove it.
All right, meanwhile, as a special counsel is named to oversee the Russia investigation, Democrats in the mainstream media ramping up their new favorite word, and it starts with an I.
I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call for the impeachment of the President of the United States of America for obstruction of justice.
The big question, did President Trump try to block the FBI's Russia investigation, commit an impeachable offense?
Are we getting closer and closer to the possibility of yet another impeachment process?
You see the cheerleaders in the background. Lawrence Jones is a host of The Blaze and joins us right now to react. Lawrence, are you surprised by this?
No,
Great to see you in person, by the way.
Nice seeing y'all as well.
Nice to see you.
I'm not surprised because the Republicans were weak. They had no spines, and the Democrats saw blood in the water, and now they're just attacking like vultures.
Did the first blow come when Jeff Sessions says, okay, you win, I'll back out?
He should never recuse himself.
And that's what President Trump said, and that's why he called him over to Mar-a-Lago to say, what were you thinking?
Exactly, and now the Democrats will continue to fight. But here's the deal. Where were the Democrats in the mainstream media when we had Fast and Furious, or the IRS scandal, which I talked about in the beginning of the program, or Benghazi,
or Hillary Clinton,
or Hillary Clinton's email? There was no calls for impeachment. There was no investigations. This is why I said Republicans should have held their ground.
Sure. You know, the Democrats have been calling for a couple of weeks for a special counsel. Now they've got it. Now what happens?
They should be scared that this guy is there. We got to remember, this guy's term was extended because he was so good. You didn't hear his name a lot, but he was very respected in the law enforcement community. I want to see him review the email scandal. I want to see him review Benghazi, all these other IRS scandals and all that. Let's go. Let's open the floodgates.
I don't know if that pertains to this particular investigation. However, we played a soundbite from Professor Jonathan Turley, the George Washington Washington University professor who says, when they look into this, got to keep in mind, Washington, D.C. is awash in Russian money. So, if they're looking into Manafort, next thing you realize, hey, wait a minute, this top Democrat got money from?
And this Russian ambassador, everybody meets with this guy, okay? We don't know what backdoor deals have been done or haven't been done. I just think the Democrats are playing partisan politics, and they have the mainstream media pushing this agenda. They all of a sudden, the media wants to ask questions, but they didn't do that back for the last 8 years. We've been calling for investigations, and they didn't pursue any of our leads.
Lawrence, what are the people in middle America? What are the people who are trying to provide for their family? What do they think about all this?
Well, it's nauseous because they wanted a president that could get results. And quite frankly, he's got a lot done, but with all these distractions, it's distracting the agenda, the jobs, the health care fight, and all the other issues that they want.
But Lawrence, the problem is in many ways is that the president does not take a backward step in his real life, in his business life, and now in his political life. And because of that, he created more trouble, it seems, for himself by the tweets, by the taunts, by the way he said James Comey, he's a showboat. Well, and by the way, I should have fired him. It was all my decision, contradicting his people. That adds to the chaos, and it makes it hard for Republicans to fight.
And I've said this before, he needs to stay focused and stop doing all these interviews. Why would you award people that continue to bash you? He should have done some of these interviews that they're now using against him. The president needs to connect with the people, and he's not doing that right now.
He needs a confidant. He needs somebody he trusts to be able to advise him that he listens to.
Needs to be shaken up.
Do you think
some of these guys are doing the
press
jobs.
Conferences and not Sean Spicer?
That could be problems, okay? More problems could happen with him doing the press conference because sometimes he just changes his mind on the spot. And it's kind of hard to, get a consistent message when the president is so bombastic and he likes to, he goes with the moment. He's a businessman. He's not a politician.
Yeah. Well, now that there is a special counsel, the good news is, as long as there's nothing there, this is going to be fine for the President of the United States.
But they move to something else. Once you cave in, they should never, I know this is different because it's a counsel instead of special prosecutor. But since you caved on this, now they're like, let's go to something else.
Don't you think the American people are so frustrated, though, because they do like his policies? They like the fact that he wants to build a wall, that he cares about border security. They like the fact that he wants to put more money in our pocketbooks with tax reform. But he can't get anything done because the mainstream media has so much power and they won't let him. And every little thing that he does wrong, they go after. And we get so caught up in the minutia of that that the big picture can't be completed.
That's true, but the president's biggest mistakes is he wants to be liked, and he should have just stuck with the voter. Let the voters like you. Don't worry about the media. Don't worry about these outside politicians. Stick with the people. The people got you elected. Remember, all these polls said that you couldn't win. Stick with the people.
Good point.
Lawrence Jones, thank you very much.
Thanks for seeing you in person.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, straight ahead.
All right, coming up, we are going to continue the conversation on this story. Democrats screaming for impeachment. Dr. Bill Bennett on that coming up next.
And she preaches tolerance unless you're white trash. We will tell you what the dean at Yale had to say.
All right, this is a Fox News alert. Last night it was named that Robert Mueller, former FBI director under President Obama and President George W. Bush, will now be special counsel looking into the Russia affair. Joining us right now is former Secretary of Education under President Reagan and also a Fox News contributor, Bill Bennett. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning.
Hey, hi, everybody.
And I should add best-selling author and big thinker, special counselor named. Good move, bad move for the administration?
Mixed. I think the special counsel thing is rife with potential mischief. You're giving the guy the car, the keys, credit card for gas all year. He becomes one of the 2 or 3 most powerful people in the country simply by being named. However, if you're going to have a special counsel, I think Robert Mueller is as good as Republicans and Donald Trump could hope for. A man of unquestionable integrity, Princeton lacrosse player. He's a jock. He's more important. He's a Marine, a decorated Marine, Bronze Star in Vietnam. I like him. He is part of the swamp, I guess, but I wanted to make this point later. He is part of the swamp who can be trusted, I believe. So I think good news on that front. If Donald Trump didn't do any collusion, and I don't believe he did, Mueller's great news. If he did collusion, and I don't think he did, Mueller's bad news, because he will get to it.
So what happens next? What's the process?
Yeah. Well, the process is it goes quiet, or it should go quiet. Mueller will not give press conferences. This should, at least tone down the volume of the Democrats. It may not, because they're infected with some kind of this disorientation syndrome in regard to Donald Trump. But the perfect answer by the White House, I think you guys made it earlier, by Sean Spicer. Look, this is a special counsel. It's in his purview. Let's wait and see what he finds out. This will calm them down for about 30 or 40 minutes. Then they'll start screaming. But there's now a good response to the screaming, which is let the special counsel do his work.
Absolutely. I got to ask you, though, the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, he's the guy who decided to appoint this special counsel. It's interesting because up to like a week ago, he was against the idea because he felt the FBI could actually do it on their own because they're independent and they're the FBI, of course. But apparently because the politics and everything